Hello everyone, Rashmi Verma here. Today we are going to start our new chapter, New Kings and Kingdoms. This is NCRT Class 7, Chapter 2, History. As the name shows, New Kings and Kingdoms. First of all, I want to ask you a question. Whenever there is discontent in the society, what happens? Yes, you are right. Whenever there is discontent in the society or there is war-like situation in the society, then new kings and kingdoms emerge. The kings which emerged at that time, slowly and slowly they established their kingdoms. Same was the thing between 7th to 12th century. There was a struggle between Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas and Palas for the Kanauj. Kanauj was a powerful place at that time. For that there was struggle that is also known as tripartite struggle. It was struggle between Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas and Palas. Slowly and slowly what happened? The kings gave patronage to Samantas, and those Samantas got the post of Mahasamantas. The king expected from Samantas and Mahasamantas that they should help them at the time of war and they should give them gifts from time to time. This was expected from Samantas and Mahasamantas. Slowly and slowly these Mahasamantas got powerful and they got free from the patronage of the kings. Slowly and they got the post of Maharaja, Tiraj, Tribhuvan and Chakravarti. Here we can say there was in the north there were Pratiharas, in east there was Palas and in west there was Rashtrakutas, and they all were fighting for the struggle for Kanauj. When new kings came out, they increased their acceptability among their masses. They got the post of Maharaja Tiraj, Lord of Lords, then Tribhuvan Chakravarti, Lord of the Three Worlds. All kings were not uniformly accepted. Kings rewarded Brahmins as grants of land. Land was granted to the Brahmins as a reward. Then the person who were collecting revenue, they were the influential members of the royal family, and the close relatives of the king were holding high positions. The person who was getting land as a grant, he was responsible for the administration of that particular area. He could collect taxes from there. He could dig canals or wells and could do irrigation there, and he or she was responsible for the administration of that particular area. Now comes the Prashastis. These were the records collected by Brahmins, learned Brahmins. We have got a Prashasti about the Gwalior that is written in Sanskrit language that also mentions the conquest of Nagbhatta, a Pratihara king. It may happen that the information which the Prashastis came, that may not be true to some extent, but even then we are to rely upon that. Then the Pala kings came and they built large temples. At that time the kings were interested in investing too much money on the temples because they were the hub of wealth, we can say. Then Mahmud of Ghazni came and he targeted Somnath temple and he looted lot of money from that temple. Then he got Al-Biruni and he wrote a book, Kitabul Hind, which was written in Arabic language, where he mentioned about the Hindustan. Then after that the Chauhans came, they captured Delhi and Ajmer. After that Prithviraj III came and he ruled from 1168 to 1192 and he defeated Muhammad Ghori in 1191. Now Cholas were the most powerful kingdom. Raja first, he was the most powerful king at that time and he conquered in 1985. After that Rajendra first came, he ruled over that kingdom. After that comes the temples and bronze images. The temples at that time were a hub of social, economic and cultural life. They were considered as having too much of wealth there. Then Thanjavur temple, Gangaikonda Cholapuram, they were the famous temples at that time. Then temples were given land by the rulers, and bronze images which are found at that time, those were the finest in the world. Agriculture and irrigation was also developed at that time. For the river Kaveri, that was a place where deposits of rich soil were there. For the purpose of agriculture and irrigation, what was done? Forests were cleared so that agriculture could be done there. and rice cultivation was mostly done. 2 crops in a year were grown on that area, and for the purpose of irrigation and agriculture, wells and tanks were also dug. Embankments were made. Why embankments were made? To prevent floods, so that they may not harm the agriculture and irrigation. After that, administration. There was a settlement of peasants that was known as Ur. They were looking after the working of the village, and that committee was known as Ur. After that, the people who were giving justice and those who collected taxes, they were known as Nadu. Rich peasants of Villela caste were doing all these works. There were so many types of land which was donated. There was land given to the non-Brahman peasants. Then there was land gifted to the Brahmins. Then there was land given to schools. Then land which was given to temples. Then land donated for Jain institutions. These were the types of land which were given to the institutions. Then mostly the land was given to the Brahmins. That was the reason that Brahmins settled down near river Kaveri. Then there was association of traders which was known as Nagaram. Then Sabha was there, who was to look after the administration of the village. To be a member of the Sabha, there were some qualifications. First, number 1, he should be a member of that village. He should be having his own house. He should not be having any illegal type of property, we can say. He should be very honest. He should be between the age group of 37 to 70 years. And if he is becoming a member of the Sabha, before 3 years, he should not be member of any committee. These were the qualifications to be the member of Sabha. Similar to India, at that time, happenings were also witnessed in China. Their Tang dynasty was ruling, and that dynasty ruled till 1919. Their capital was Xi'an, and bureaucratic setup was there, and recruitment was done through examination system. This was all about the world scenario that was happening at that time in world.